everybody at home. Welcome back. We are here at Balance Patch with the May League Cup. I am Solex Cross, and I'm joined here by Sam, and we got an excellent set to go over with you guys today. Let's go ahead and start checking it out.
We got CJ versus Alek, and we're going to start by looking at CJ's team, led by Koraidon and Lunala. CJ is short, of course, for Sharjosko, the Supreme Diva, and they are rocking a Koraidon Proto-Spam team with Flutter Mane and Chi-Yu to take advantage of that sun. There's a little size spam mode with Indeedee and Expanding Force Lunala, and Ogre Pond Cornerstone with that Sturdy and Follow Me to round it out, give it a little bit defensive integrity.
Powerful stuff indeed. And of course, I do love Lunala being used in any format. Great ability, excellent coverage on this Pokemon, can be quite tanky as well. But let's take a look at Alek May's team. Go ahead and transition over to that, please.
Alek is running a different type of weather. Alek is running a rain team, Kyogre and Zacian, colloquially known as Swordfish. I prefer the term Dog Water. But with Tornadus, you've got Bleakwind Storm, Tailwind, and Rain Dance to really set up the team. Urshifu Water to give some rain-boosted surging strikes that you can't protect against. Chien-Pao to make that damage sting even more. And, of course, Namugus for a little bit of redirection and support.
One thing I really want to point out, and this is what we talked a little bit earlier about, Kyogre here with that interesting choice of moving Thunder.
Yes.
Obviously, you bring the rain. Thunder is going to make 100% accuracy because of that rain. But what's interesting is this team kind of has a problem with Terra Water types, and having that Thunder there to go ahead and hit them and snipe them out, very powerful, especially if your opponent has a Miraidon on their team.
Exactly. It's a very wise team-building choice by Alek there by running Thunder instead of the more commonly seen Ice Beam. But if you look at the team composition, like Naeem said, you've got Steel-type attack from Zacian, you've got the Water-type attack from Urshifu, Ice attack from Chien-Pao. Terra Water is a fantastic defensive typing, but if you click Terra Water, then you're going to be vulnerable into the Thunder.
Yes.
That said, Thunder is only 50% accurate in the sun. I think a lot of what this game is going to come down to is who can establish that weather. So let's see what the leads and what we start off with on the field.
I did see Lunala get blocked. Yes, there is Lunala and Ogre Pond here on the field. Excellent choices. I like these Pokemon a lot. Lunala, you're a little too big. You're covering up basically 80% of the screen on the other side. But we can sneak in and see that Chien-Pao just over the shoulder.
Exactly. And with this board state, it looks like CJ is very much thinking Trick Room. Alek's got two very fast Pokemon on the field, the two dogs. I guess Chien-Pao's a cat, but I'll let that one slide. And Ogre Pond with the sturdy ability, threatening Follow Me, could very easily trade the Ogre Pond for a clean Trick Room or a free attack from the Lunala. Lunala, of course, also has the Shadow Shield ability, which will allow it to pretty much guarantee any one single attack. Interestingly, Alek's Chien-Pao does not have a dark move that's not Sucker Punch, so if Lunala goes for a move that is not a damaging move, it cannot be effective.
Follow Me, excellent. This will activate, which means we will not get knocked out in one hit, which also means Taunt, if used, will not be able to punch, which is why we can see the Ice Spirit here to take out that Ogre Pond, make sure one thing is down, and here comes the Trick Room if it was selected.
Yeah, CJ really had the opportunity. Oh, that's a different move. CJ has the opportunity to trade that Ogre Pond for one free move with Lunala. And they're going to go for the Meteor Beam as that attack of choice. So the power is going to boost up the damage and is going to connect onto the Chien-Pao, which will bring the Chien-Pao down to its focus sash. So here we are at the end of the turn with a full HP Lunala, still with Shadow Shield intact, facing down a Chien-Pao at 1 HP and a full health Zacian. Ogre Pond is no longer around to do battle.
Interesting decision here, not going for the Trick Room, but we have a threat of our own with that Koraidon, and here comes the Orcal Compulse, just powering up these moves that Koraidon has. We see the Flame Charge and the Flare Blitz, a very popularized move with that Flame Charge, thanks to both Click back in that last tournament. It's a very devastating move indeed, and it makes this Koraidon just that much more threatening.
Yeah, Koraidon is a very, like you said, a very speedy Pokemon, so it's not setting up Trick Room is smart. There will be a lot, the question is the speed tiers here. Zacian's the fastest natural Pokemon. Chien-Pao often trained to be have max speed of its own, and if that's the case, it could speed tie with Koraidon. But that said, CJ bringing out their Koraidon first means that Alek could easily switch into Kyogre and change the weather. So Alek kind of keeping that in their back pocket. We'll see if they go for that, as CJ loves to lock in a strong move here.
Oh, locking in! Oh, it's such an interesting choice. Chien-Pao coming out. This is actually not going for that. Punching that movement is really key here because now it's gonna obviously not be able to get KO from this out, but now we also get a really powerful
such an interesting turn. I feel like could be the one that swings a lot of the battle. CJ's going for the terrestrialization to bring Koraidon into the fire type. That's very dangerous now that no longer is going to resist any water types that are coming out from the Kyogre, and we are now in the rain. They did lock in a close combat into the Zacian slot. Alek's terrestrialization will remove the steel typing and make it resist the close combat. The player off going with the Lunala, that's going to break the Shadow Shield. That's going to crit. That's going to do over half its health, but the Shadow Shield sparing the Lunala. Close combat doing a good third of Zacian's health. But now we are actually in a position where switch into the Indeedee could threaten a very strong expanding force now that Lunala has set Trick Room up. That critical hit, though, from the play rough, that may put it into range of a water type attack. We'll see if CJ does indeed have the Indeedee in the back and whether that would allow them to launch an expanding force with the Lunala.
I gotta say, Koraidon feeling a little awkward in this spot right now, being as fast as it is. Maybe going for a protector switch now is going to switch out into a water pulse. Oh, that's looking tough.
Yeah, one of the things with Koraidon is once the rain is up, you really do have to kind of play around with when you want to switch in, when you want to stay, and terrestrializing into fire makes it very risky to come in on a Kyogre. You see now that these speed tiers, the Origin Pulse actually slower than the Lunala because it moves first under Trick Room, takes out the Lunala in one hit. Now CJ is locked onto the field with a Terra Fire Koraidon under Trick Room against a Kyogre. That is not a place you want to be if you're a Koraidon, and we saw in the back that CJ's last Pokemon is not the Indeedee. It is in fact a Flutter Mane, and the Flutter Mane does not have the move Protect. So CJ's Kyogre, or Alek's Kyogre is sitting very pretty, and it looks like CJ's is going to go lock in that forfeit.
Yeah, it looks like CJ's own Trick Room working against them in this exact moment. The greatest call for Alek to bring in that Kyogre, as slow as it is in this situation, it was just the right Pokemon to finish the job. Yeah, and you were going to get like all the water spouts. There was nothing you can do anymore after that.
Yeah, Alek wasn't even in a position where he had to risk clicking Origin Pulse and risk misses. The Kyogre was the slowest thing on the field. It still had a good chunk of its health left, so Water Spout's going to do more than enough damage to pick up what it needed to. And now the question for CJ is, how do you adapt to that Kyogre in the back?
Yes.
Because CJ was the one to bring out the sun first. They had to blink first in that situation. And once that happens, Alek is the one who's in control of the weather, can really put pressure on CJ's pieces and, keep the rain up and keep the Koraidon weakened. So we'll see if the other question here is what CJ does with their speed tiers. If they want to go, it seemed like they were kind of in between committing to the fast mode and the slow mode in that game. I think they've got to make a choice. And Alek has so many fast Pokemon between the Tornadus and the Zacian. But you also did see that the Kyogre undersped the Lunala and moved first under Trick Room. So it's a very difficult position, and I'm really interested to see what they bring to Game 2.
In fact, clicking Origin Pulse there was the check, right? We don't know if this is fast enough under Trick Room to go ahead and get damage, so I wanted him to click a safe move. Now I know that my Pokemon is slower in Trick Room. I can click Water Pulse, much more. Not Water Pulse, Water Spout, much more safely in the upcoming round because I know my speed tiers now.
Exactly.
And that information is pivotal.
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest things of Game 1.
Yes, exactly. Maybe we don't even bring Trick Room, but it's still tough because that team is so much more faster, and they can get even faster with Tornadus too.
Exactly. And the other thing interesting is we didn't see Alek's fourth Pokemon in that game. We saw the Qianpao Zacian lead. We saw the Kyogre come in. That fourth Pokemon, it could have been many things. It could have been the Tornadus, which would have enabled a much faster mode of the team, or it could have been the Amoonguss, which, should CJ set up Trick Room again, the Amoonguss could come in, and I don't think CJ has any Pokemon besides the Ogerpon that are immune to sleep. So we see the exact same leads coming out Game 2, but I wonder if what's in the back is going to change.
Tornadus even has the Rain Dance here, so Prankster Rain Dance really strong when you have two Weather Setters technically versus the one here that brings the Sun. We're starting off with the Sun here. I'm not sure how this is going to play out, but it's going to be interesting for sure. Qianpao, Sword of Ruin Mountain play as well, of course, getting the boost on that other Pokemon as well. This is looking very scary.
Yeah, I misspoke. I said we had the same leads. We do not. We have Koraidon on the field instead of Lunala. And Koraidon exerts a lot of offensive pressure here, but it really needs to be kept safe. And the Ogerpon's Follow Me can do that. Again, we're kind of looking at a trade here. Ogerpon can always Follow Me and guarantee a free move from Koraidon. And the question is, can Koraidon do enough with that free turn to really make it worth sacrificing the Ogerpon? We see a Protect coming out from the Zacian here on Alek's side. So, and they Follow Me from the Ogerpon. So, the Ogerpon's going to be on the field after this turn, regardless of what the Qianpao does. Koraidon, we see move first before the Chien-Pao, that likely to me indicates we're looking at either a speed tie or the Koraidon's going to be adamant. Oh, and we have a taunt coming into the Ogerpon. No more follow me's, and now this Koraidon could be obliterated by a play rough, by an ice spinner. It's almost forced to tear if it wants to make it out of this turn.
Excellent read from Alek, protecting with the right Pokemon at the right time. This completely neutralized that turn one for CJ, unfortunately. Now, if they had made the read to go for that flame charge into Chien-Pao, it'd be a much different game, because that protect would have been expended. And now, yes, you were able to use taunt on my Ogerpon, but what are you going to do this next up against him? I'm faster, I'm in the sun, and I'm feeling threatening. So, but all of a sudden, we're slower again.
Absolutely. And now, again, if you're CJ, you really have to play this. You know that the Kyogre is in the back. So committing the Terra to Koraidon is probably the best way to make sure it survives the turn. But then you're going to be vulnerable to the Kyogre coming into the back. Now, what's the best way that you have to beat the Kyogre? It's going to be your own Ogerpon, but your Ogerpon cannot protect, and it could very easily go down this turn. So we'll see who makes it out of this turn alive. The Zacian commits the Terra Fairy.
It does have that sturdy ability, so it will withstand at least one attack without the need of something like a Focus Sash after all. But again, we want that HP nice and healthy to deal with this Kyogre in the back. That's the scary part. But we don't see a switch at all, so this could be a good for CJ.
Yeah, there's no switch coming out, so that means the Kyogre, the weather on the field will be sun for at least one more turn. The Behemoth Blade's going to come out, very easily take the Ogerpon down to the Sturdy. And it's possible we could see Alek just completely ignore the Koraidon this turn. Knowing that there's if you get rid of the Ogerpon, there's not a lot. Flame Charge, a one-hit KO into the Zacian. I did not see that coming.
With the terrestrializing everything, one hit, that's a strong boy. Well, hold on, what item is that?
That's the Life Orb Koraidon.
That's the Life Orb, baby. Oh, man. That was not expected.
Let's take a look at all the multipliers we had. So we had the Sword of Ruin on the field. We had the Terrestrialization on the Zacian, removing its weakness to fire, but also the Terrestrialization on the Koraidon, not only giving stab to the Flame Charge, but also boosting its base power to 60. So I guess that's a one-shot on a Zacian. I didn't expect that. That's a Pokemon with incredible natural bulk. And here we see Urshifu come in, the presumptive fourth Pokemon on Alek's side. There is no Kyogre yet, but I think we can pretty safely assume that's going to be the end. Indeedee coming in to use Follow Me to try to keep this Koraidon alive for as long as possible.
Yeah, this is the scary part here for Alek. This is not what we wanted to see at all. And now we're in a situation where the perfect partner for a Koraidon has come in with that Follow Me Indeedee, a bulky Pokemon at that. I'm not even sure if Urshifu and Chien-Pao can clear them out. If they're already knocked out! That's crazy!
And, you know,
taking full advantage of the Chien-Pao on this table.
One thing I want to say, big ups to CJ for recognizing this. Keeping this Chien-Pao on the field is actually doing them a lot of favors, because the Sword of Ruin is really working to Alek's detriment. I guarantee that the Zacian would not have been OHKO'd by the Flame Charge if not for the partner Sword of Ruin. And while Life Orb Koraidon close combat can pick up Urshifu, it depends on how the Urshifu's trained. With the Sword of Ruin, though, that's a guaranteed one-shot, and I bet that the Kyogre will go down to a close combat as well, even without the Sun boosting Koraidon's attack. It'll definitely go down to a Helping Hand close combat if that's what CJ wants to go for. So just phenomenal play by CJ, leaving the Chien-Pao on the field, letting it boost their own Pokemon's attacks, and just clearing the board on Alek's side around the Chien-Pao. It's not often the Chien-Pao has all my friends are dead syndrome, but it did in that match.
Good decision. And just like that, 2 matches in a row where the players lost to their own devices. How interesting.
Yeah, you know, this is one thing when you have so many powerful Pokemon. Sometimes these little field effects that you don't really think about, they can really swing the momentum of the entire match.
Yes,
I will say, just you know, in my mental calc, I did not have Flame Charge OHKOing a Zacian when it was neutral.
Man,
it was neutral. So that was incredible damage, and I wonder if Alek's going to have to switch up his game plan a little bit to try to make sure that the rain's on the field earlier, because if it's not, then that Koraidon is just going to do incredible damage.
We do have the 2 rain setters, we have the prankster ability to do it, and we have Kyogre that's slower. The slower thing goes first. So it is interesting in that way where we can get that rain in play as soon as possible. But man, do you bring that in again in the start of the round? Do you
I
bring
don't
in
know.
Koraidon? Like, I don't know. Like,
One other thing to consider from a team building perspective here is that CJ's Lunala does not have wide guard. That's one of Lunala's favorite supporting moves, and it's
Yes.
usually excellent into things like Kyogre. This one doesn't have it. And so if the Kyogre can somehow get into a position where the rain's up, maybe you get it in Tailwind, there's nothing stopping those water spouts unless the Koraidon gets that early speed boost. So we do see the classic Torn Ogre lead that's going to come out from Alek here. And because the Kyogre is slower than the Koraidon, the rain is going to be established. Tornadus doesn't have to worry about clicking Rain Dance. It can just set up Tailwind, and we have a water spout that's threatening big damage from Alek's Kyogre.
yes, so the problem here for CJ is going to be how do we navigate around Tornadus as well? Because even if we switch back in, Tornadus can prankster Rain Dance. And we're back to square one, so this is why this lead was actually excellent. It made sure that you couldn't just switch in Koraidon as you wanted to see fit.
Exactly. Alek really leaning into that weather advantage, and he's going to Terra the Tornadus into a Dark type. So what does this do here? If you're facing an Ogerpon, it's going to let you survive a Rock Ivy Cudgel is what it's going to do, which is important because the Ogerpon, of course, has the sturdy ability, so it's going to be able to survive this water spout. There is no water spout. Kyogre's going to protect, and I wonder actually if Alek is just going for a raw Bleakwind Storm. Here comes the Ivy Cudgel. It's going to do big damage into the Tornadus, but it's not going to take it out thanks to the Terra, and Bleakwind Storm will break the sturdy. And now, that was a good play by Alek because you get to stagger the Tailwind. Now you're threatening a water spout that can take out the Ogerpon, as well as all 4 turns of Tailwind after you click it here.
Now, what do? Do you double protect as the Koraidon? Because, again, this is a very scary situation. We can even go something like Prankster Tailwind and be faster all of a sudden. It's a very scary situation to be in.
Yeah, I don't think CJ has much that can switch into a water spout. I mean, you have Lunala that will take half damage from any one attack, but I don't know if that's what you want to waste the Shadow Shield on. So here's the Follow Me coming out from the Ogerpon. It's not going to do much because Tornadus is clicking Tailwind, and Water Spout is a spread move, so you can say goodbye to this Ogerpon. Koraidon will take this Water Spout decently, probably with about 40% of its health left, and it has the option to take out the Tornadus, or it can try to chunk the Kyogre. We'll see what they went for.
Chunking Kyogre is a great call here because we just want to deal with that Water Spout. Go ahead and click your very risky accuracy lowered move in the Origin Pulse. I want to deal with those odds a bit more.
Absolutely, and now CJ in the back did not bring Lunala this game, so we're looking at Fluttermane and Indeedee.
Fluttermane's not a bad choice here, right? We could go for something like Icy Wind, try to slow them down a little bit. They do have Tailwind, but it's a Kyogre with no investment. Like, come on now, like maybe we can take advantage of that.
That's true. The problem is though that there's no sun, so Fluttermane's not getting that speed boost. It also doesn't have Protect, so you can't go for a play where you protect the Fluttermane, switch the Indeedee out, try to stall the Tailwind. Fluttermane's going to take this one attack with the Sash, but then I wonder if the Tornadus is just naturally faster under Tailwind, where you can double up with a Bleakwind and Origin Pulse, and if you hit your moves, it might be game over.
We could also just eliminate the Kyogre if we have the opportunity to do so. Again, we'll survive at least one of these attacks.
There's CJ hovering Protect over the Koraidon, try to buy another turn. I think they might just have to bank on an Origin Pulse miss here, because beyond that, I think this double spread damage that's coming out from Alek's side might be too much for them to handle. So we do see that Protect from the Koraidon. Bleakwind Storm from the Tornadus will break the Sash on the Flutterbane, and if Origin Pulse connects, it's not going to be around anymore.
Do we realistically think a Thunder in this situation could do enough damage? Now, Fluttermane's way too tanky for that. It'd have to be Stab or Water Spout.
We do see a Water Spout. Interesting. There. So looks like Alek was just going for the guaranteed damage. That's not going to be enough to take out the Fluttermane. So now Fluttermane will get a free attack, and we'll see what it goes for. It's going to be a Moonblast, and it's going to be into the Tornadus. So Tornadus is now gone, and there's 2 turns of Tailwind left. So we'll see if there's enough time remaining in the battle for CJ to move things around and try to buy enough turns to where Tailwind expires and they can do enough damage back.
Finally getting down on one of these Pokemon, but there's still 2 others in the wings that we don't know. Oh, it's Zacian, and that's a very, very tiny Pokemon to be dealing with right now. And there goes the boost.
Yeah, that's not who you want to see if you're CJ, because the Zacian, not only can it threaten to OHKO every single thing that you have in the back, but it's also naturally faster than both of your Fluttermane and your Koraidon. So even once Tailwind expires, even if you can somehow survive to the end of that, the Zacian's still going to be outspeeding you. So I don't know if there's much that CJ can do here to try to survive both of these hits. You see Koraidon switching out try to set the sun back up once it comes back in. Indeedee hitting the field. I don't know if it will take enough damage from both of these Pokemon to survive another turn, but if it does, maybe that could buy them a valuable turn as they try to stall out this Tailwind.
All you need is one follow me, and we'll take this one at least reasonably well and survive. But is it going to be able to take a second? Origin pulls and hits.
Double connect. Yeah, that double connect is likely going to seal the game. You know, the sun's going to come back for the Koraidon, but I think at this point, even if you commit a Terrifier, you're still going to drop the Behemoth Blade. And the Zacian, like I said before, outspeeds you even if it's under even if Tailwind expires. So valiantly fought by CJ. I think it was well played by Alek to bring the Tornadus lead, really establish the weather control, and also go for the fast mode. And the fact that CJ didn't actually have Lunala in the back, couldn't set up Trick Room to really punish that Tailwind from Alek's side, meant that Alek just had all the offense that he needed.
As always, speed controls the name of the game, and the speed was definitely in favor for Alek in this positioning. There's just not much we can do here now except, you know, try to finish it out.
Yeah, Alek's going to withdraw the Kyogre, just playing it safe here, but I think a Behemoth Blade from the Zacian is going to take out the Koraidon, even if it does commit the Terrifier. Even a resisted hit, of course, just doing tremendous amounts of damage. That's a Play Rough, which, Play Rough, if anything, that could give them an out. Could give CJ an out. But even as Tailwind peters out, the Urshifu is also Scarf, so a close combat will mean the end of Koraidon, and I don't think there's anything that CJ can do.
There goes the close combat, marking the end of a great battle. Man, that was really tough. It really went well for Char, but that's not much you can really do now in this situation.
Yeah, you know, this is one of those classic weather war battles, right? You have a sun setter on one side, you have a rain setter on the other side, but if you look at the team compositions, the only thing, CJ has a Koraidon, but I wouldn't call it a sun team. It's more of a, it's a Koraidon team with with some good support around it and a size spam mode. Alek was running a rain team. You've got Urshifu to take advantage of the rain. You've got Kyogre, and you've got the Tornadus with manual rain dance to set it up again.
Yes.
So it doesn't surprise me that Alek really leaned into setting that weather. And with that, he was able to exert enough pressure to where Koraidon wasn't doing the damage it needed to, didn't have the speed it needed to pick up KOs.
Well, that's going to be the end of this round. Excellent games to both players, GG's. But we will be back right after this, so stay tuned, and we have more to go on